My sanity was a sacrifice the island demanded. Welcome to Lost All Caps.
I feel like it's become far too customary for me to like sigh heavily after your intro lines. That one wasn't because the joke was bad, that was just because John pisses me off.
Oh, I know. We'll get there. We will. Oh, gang. It's a fun one today, people.
It is. Oh, we're at the end.
We're at the end of the series. Can you believe it?
How crazy is that?
We've made it all the way to the season finale.
5 more to go. I'm Velvet.
And I'm Ariel.
And this is Lost All Caps episode 26, Exodus part 3.
Indeed.
And I'm so excited.
Just a little peek behind the curtain for you guys. It has been fully a month since we last recorded an episode.
It's been so long.
It has been genuinely a month.
We have had the craziest series of events. We've had shows, we've had travel, we've had work things happening, we've had so much
drama.
I don't think I've been in one place for more than 4 days since before we recorded the beginning of Exodus.
Honestly.
It
has been an absolutely insane month for the both of us. I mean, just to give you a little insight for me personally, so I went to the Brighton Fringe, as you know, because I've been talking about it a lot on this podcast. But important to note that a week before I went to the Brighton Fringe, literally a week before, I ended up in A&E because I had such a bad nosebleed, which also, foreshadowing on the podcast from when I had that nosebleed, remember that?
You saw the nosebleed, so a week later.
So I ended up in A&E. I am fine. They cauterized it. They fixed it. It's all been good. Touch wood. So far since. But yeah, that was kind of a traumatic experience for me. It was very, very scary. I was by myself in the house when it happened, and it was a whole thing. And then I was just kind of recovering from that, and it was 2 days until I was going to the Brighton Fringe, and I smashed my phone. It was just one thing after another.
Yeah,
and then whilst I was
was
down at the Brighton Fringe, my shoes broke. I've had to buy new shoes. They're very cool though. I don't know if you can see them on the little... This is their first outing, really, so...
I mean, outing, we're inside.
Let me have this. Okay?
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. I've finished my second year of uni.
Velvet's finished uni!
Second year of uni. As of yesterday, I submitted my final essay on the train, which I feel like maybe was not the best place to do it because of train Wi-Fi being so unpredictable. But I was I just want to do it and I just want to get it out of my head, you know? I just want to be done with it.
It's quite poetic to do it on the train.
It did. It felt I'm moving on to bigger things.
You look out the window with a hand under your chin.
Yeah, I clicked it and then I was yeah. And I took a little picture and I put it on my Instagram story and I was like, guys, I'm finished. But yeah, so that's, crazy. Huge. I've had so much going on. I got a new job.
Yeah.
I've been there a lot. It's
been go for us.
It's been go. I left my hairdryer at home. Oh so God. My hair is wet right now.
My varnish ran out this morning.
My hair is still wet right now.
We are in a shambles, but we are here.
It's so hot.
People. It's boiling as well.
Fucking boiling.
This fucking heat wave that we've been in May.
It is insane.
People. What is going on?
It's ridiculous, and it's been so hot, and I've been, my bedroom is warm at the best of times. It's been crazy. I had my fan running for 4 hours last night, and the temperature of the room just didn't change. I was like, come on, gang, let's pick this up.
Sometimes it doesn't if you don't also have a window open.
I did also have a window open.
Oh, did you?
It was just equally as hot outside. It was awful. But... we've got a great episode today, and that's going to bring the vibes. We had such a scheduling. We sat down last week and were like, when are we going to record the next few episodes? And we were Ariel was over my shoulder while I was going through my diary, and I was circling half-day sections, being I could maybe do this point, and then Ariel would be no, I have a gig then. I'm For God's sake.
I've got a gig tonight. Can you believe it?
Yeah. Ariel, we're stopping recording and Ariel's getting on a train. It's go, go, go.
It's mad.
No rest for the wicked.
Honestly.
At the minute. Mm-hmm. But we're taking time out of our busy schedules to talk to you guys about Exodus Part 3.
And we're so happy to be
doing so. We're so happy. I mean, should we begin?
I mean, I feel like we should.
Yeah.
I feel like we should.
So, this one, I couldn't tell when the previously on finished. Because the bit with John says, like, it's the bit with Hurley and John, that conversation where he says, what do you think's in there? And John says, hope. But that was, like, voiced over a bit that was not where that conversation happened. But then it seemed like the rest of that scene we hadn't seen yet, so I was really confused.
Yeah. The previously on this week was basically just a summary of everything that's happened in the first 2 parts of the finale, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
We got the crotch up shot. We got run, hide or die. We got all the big hitters.
All the big hitters. We've had this episode as well, we had another speech that gets used in previously ons all the time. John's we were brought here for a purpose, for a reason. And I was wondering, I was like, do they actually say man of science, man of faith at any point? Because it's such like a theme of the show.
Yes.
That I was like sitting, this was a while ago, but I was genuinely like, have they said it already? I was like, when? It definitely comes from the show at some point. Yeah. When is that? And we've got it today.
We've got it. I really like this scene with John and Jack. I know you don't.
No, I don't not like it.
The thing is, it's cool. You've got to look at it.
No, it is cool.
You've got to remove yourself and think about, remember what it was like when you were watching it for the first time. And it's like, John is such a mystical character, and he's stood there and he's saying everything you want him to say, isn't he? We were brought here for a reason, you know? The man of science, man of faith thing, he's not about destiny, and he's saying, like, all the paths lead to the hatch. Each one of us was here brought for a reason. You were chosen too, Jack. The island chose us.
Yeah.
He's spouting all the ideas that we've kind of been thinking about ourselves. And so for him, as a character within the show, to lay that all out for us is really interesting. Of course, he's speculating as well, right? I mean, we know he's got some kind of communion with the island in that he looked into the eye of the island, he came face to face with the monster, and all of this stuff. But he still is trying to figure it all out himself.
Yeah, and I don't it is of course, you know, compelling. And I think it's a brilliant scene, and I think that speech is really nice. But it just maybe my favourite part of the whole scene was when Jack went, did you talk to Boone about destiny? I was like, get his ass.
That was good.
Because it's good. Like, Jack has such, like, they both have such good points.
Yes.
In that, you know?
Yeah, that's why it's a good scene.
Both sides of it is that John, you know that there's magic going on. You know that they have a reason to be there, and John's, like, destiny thing is sort of like, yeah. But then it's like, you look at it from Jack's perspective, and it's like, yeah, all he's doing is just, like, he's gotten people killed, and he's been fucking with them all, and Jack's really pissed off, and I'm like, yeah, because you would be, but also if you were John, you would be feeling like that. And
but also you have to remember that John did help Jack, and Jack has also seen the ghost of his father running around the island. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has experienced that, but it's because he's the man of science that he's like, I was hallucinating. You know, I was grieving, I was dehydrated, I was stressed, all of this stuff. But, you know, he can't deny it completely. Or can he?
Or
will he try to for 6 seasons? But yeah. I mean, I do think Boone was a sacrifice the island demanded. That line is so iconic.
Objectively ridiculous thing to say. Are you stupid? Like, that's what he took from that, you know? It's like, I'm like, that's the lesson you've learned.
That's the takeaway.
That's the takeaway here. Yeah. The lesson you've learned from that experience is that Boone had to die. No, he didn't.
But what if he did?
No, though? But he didn't, though.
I know, but it's also John trying to reconcile with his own guilt over killing Boone, isn't it?
I know. Well, yeah, but it's not framed like that, is it?
It's not framed like that, but it's implied.
Is it?
Yeah.
No.
I just think it does tilt the balance. Do you know what I mean? Because I was just saying that, like, I as a viewer was on John's side because I'm like, he's spouting all the mystical stuff that I'm really interested in and I want to know. And I want to believe that they're meant to open the hatch because I want to see what's inside and I want to know and all of this stuff. And when, you know, Boone drops the torch and everything, it feels like phase. But when he says Boone was the sacrifice the island demanded, that's when it tips the scales over into, actually, I don't think I like you.
You're like, okay, you're going too far now.
You're going too far.
At that point, it's like it's like what I said of it, he's disregarding the other people's lives.
Yes.
As part of his personal journey. The entire experience of them being on the island is not about John's personal journey. You know? And that's what he seems to have gotten to a point where he thinks that that's what it is. And I know he said, like, you were brought here too, we're all here for a reason. But it's like, if we were all here for a reason, you're saying the entire reason Boone was brought to the island was so that you could get him killed, so you could then bang on the hatch and so the light would come out of it? Like,
yes.
That's not Boone's purpose, is it?
That's what John believes is Boone's purpose.
But then
he was brought to the island to be a sacrifice.
But that's just such a lack of, like, human empathy. That's such a lack of being able to understand that the other people around you have other things going on.
That is true, but also think about how much death they've been surrounded by. Do you know what I mean? Like, how many people died in the initial crash? Does John think that they were all brought to the island to die as well?
I mean, I don't know.
You know, these are the things that you have to ask yourself.
But it's like, but this is, John says, doesn't he, that they all survived for a reason?
Yes, with only minor injuries. Yeah.
So that's a bit different, because it's like,
true.
They all died in the crash, these people were meant to survive. Boone's, what about, you know, Scott? Was he meant to die? What about Joanna? What about the marshal? Or, you know...
He didn't really have a minor injury, did he?
Yeah, that's a bit different. As soon as I said that, I was like, that's not quite the same. But, like, were all those people, were they chosen to survive the plane crash just to die later on? Like...
It's a good question. He hasn't thought it through, has he? He hasn't thought through...
John, I have questions!
But what if that is true? Like, play that out a little bit in your head. That means... So, John seems to believe that Ireland has its own will. Its own agenda.
Which, like, I'm with him on that.
The island is not an ordinary island. It has some kind of will. Let's call it a will. Everything else seems kind of benevolent. But this is something very malevolent. Isn't it? The island is saying...
That's not what the island's saying. Go on.
Bless you. The island is saying, I need a blood sacrifice, basically. That's something quite...
So this is like an island sentient and evil?
Yes!
Okay. I see what you're getting
How
at.
about that as an idea? Is all I'm really
Island
proposing.
is evil. Island is evil is an interesting idea, because that's not something we've ever considered before, is it? But it's like, really, if the island has brought all these people here just for them to die, it's pretty evil.
Pretty evil.
It's never something I really considered that
and
the island would be evil.
going, the numbers are bad, evil.
The numbers are evil. I mean, they've done a lot of evil to Hurley's life.
And he's like, don't open the hatch because the numbers are bad. They open the hatch.
Walt also said not to open it.
And
now he's been kidnapped. Island's evil.
The island is evil.
Ariel's cracked it, actually. The island is evil.
Think about it. This is just one of many options, but... You know, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is a very interesting one, actually. It's not something I'd ever really thought about. Okay, so while we're talking about John's mystical bullshit, let's circle back to the beginning of this episode and discuss that situation. So, first things first. First things first, this is scene one.
John, I know! We jump straight into it.
This is the very beginning of the episode.
Oh, man.
So, okay, so we have the monster.
Yes.
And we sort of... we didn't see it still, but we seem to have a lot more information on what it is.
Yes.
Now.
So let's go through step by step. Jack and Kate see a tiny billow,
sort of tendril of black smoke.
I like that, tendril. A tendril of black smoke kind of going horizontally through the air.
Yeah, so it couldn't have been from a fire because it was
No.
going horizontally.
And
Magic.
then they both see it.
Yes,
They
so it
both
wasn't a
see it.
hallucination.
And then the trees start getting ripped up. We hear all the normal monster noises that we've heard.
There was also, though, like a sort of metal clicking noise.
Metal
Did you hear
clicking
that?
noise? Yes.
Because I've not heard that before.
See, I think it might have been there when, you know, the time when Rousseau says it's a security system?
Oh, and they hid from it.
Yeah. Because it sounded quite mechanic to me. in
Yeah,
that
I was
moment.
thinking it was conjuring a very sort of steampunk image, like a sort
absolutely.
of crank candle or something being reeled
Yeah.
in. And I was like, that's quite interesting, because it's like if something's got hold of John and it's being like...
Reeled in, I
reeled
like
in.
that as an idea. And, okay, so then it's all very dramatic, isn't it? The trees are ripping up, and then John gets grabbed by the leg, he gets dragged, and he gets dragged down a hole into the ground.
Yes.
We see some black smoke around his legs and stuff, but it's all very, like, you know,
There's like dirt coming up.
what's the word? Snippets. It's all snippets. And then, after Kate throws the dynamite down, we'll discuss all of it in more detail in a minute. I'm just trying to get at what the monster.
Yeah.
We see a big puff of cloud smoke. Big puff of cloud smoke.
Big puff of cloud
We see
smoke.
a big puff of cloud smoke evaporate out of the hole.
Yeah. And then it lets go of John.
And then it lets go of John. Okay, let's unpack this, gang. What the fuck?
Okay, so... It's not a dinosaur.
It's not a dinosaur.
Because how would it get in that hole?
The thing is, if the monster is just a pillar of smoke, my views on that are, I think it's cool at the point where we're at in the series right now to reveal that, because we've had the pillar of black smoke coming from the others, right? The fire that they light and everything. And in fact, even Charlie says it later on in this episode. He goes, that's it, the black smoke. And we're kind of going,
Yeah.
that's it, the black smoke, Ari the monster.
Yeah, I thought that was really well set up of like that thing of like the magic is destroyed but it's also sort of sparked, because it's like the black smoke that they were following was just a fire that Rousseau set, but we saw that like the magical tendril. So the black smoke is still something, even if
Yes.
it's not that.
Yes. So I like the idea that the black smoke is somehow related to the others. It's somehow related to Rousseau. She saw the black smoke when her baby was kidnapped. She also said that she knows the monster, right? It's a security system, yada yada. She went to the dark territory. That's where her team got infected. That's also interesting. Is the smoke infecting people?
Are they all sick? Is John sick
Is
now?
John sick because he's been grabbed by the smoke? The smoke didn't seem to be doing the kind of slow death option.
No.
It seemed very much rapid death.
It seemed very much, I'm gonna rip this old man's leg off,
Yeah.
which like real.
Interesting. But if it is just smoke, I'm pissed off. Because what the hell? Like, the whole series, we have very clearly been hearing footsteps. Okay, we have been hearing
Thump,
big
thump, thump.
thumping footsteps.
Elephant footsteps.
In the pilot, you know, when the actual pilot gets killed, in that big famous scene where they're all running round, yada yada. Every time that it's been, when John sees the monster, the perspective
Is like running.
like, it's like a big dinosaur walking along. So how the fuck is it smoke if it's footsteps?
Maybe it's smoke with feet. Have you considered that? What I'm more concerned about is why John's so calm about the whole thing.
Because he's looked into it. And
Because,
he thinks
yeah,
we're
but
bros.
like, it's when he puts, first of all, he puts the bag down and he's just like wandering into it. Don't piss me off. Like, what? Run away. Are you stupid? And then it's the like, don't let go of me, I'll be fine. No, you won't. What does he think is gonna happen?
I don't know.
Does he think it's gonna be like that bit in How to Train Your Dragon where Hiccup like puts his hand on Toothless's thing and it's like, the dinosaur, the dragon that like no one can tame, and then he's like, does he think he's gonna
Does that
tame the
happen
monster?
in How to Train Your Dragon?
Yeah.
It's basically a horse girl
Have you not
movie.
seen it?
No.
Yeah, it's basically a horse girl movie. It's like there's the one the Night Fury is the breed of dragon that like no one can tame it, and it's like all like violent and unpredictable. And then Hiccup goes and he's like, I'm not gonna tame my dragon by like being mean to it, making it scared of me. I'm gonna be nice to the Night Fury. And then he like goes up and he puts his hand on it and he's like, holy shit, they're like nice. And then after that, Toothless just kind of turns into a dog. So classic like cartoon animal that just acts like a dog.
Very much giving I completely forgot his name. Bullseye,
yeah,
in Toy Story.
Yeah. Or like Sven from Frozen. Like very much that. Yeah, it's just, House Tree Dragon is essentially a horse girl movie, but like for boys.
Yeah, interesting. It's a horse boy movie.
It's a horse boy movie. It's a dragon boy movie.
Yeah. That's fun. That's interesting. No, I've never seen it, and I know there's like 5 of them as well.
There's 3. I've seen the first one and the third one. I've not seen the second one. I went to see the third one when it came out in the cinema before seeing the first one, because my friends wanted to go and they were like, let's go together. Random. And I was like, sure. I hadn't seen the first 2, but I was like, fine. It was good. And then like a year later, I was round at a different friend's house and they were like, what do you mean you've never seen the first one? So we watched the first one, but I've never seen the second one. I think it's funny to keep it that way, actually.
Yeah, I do. You need to commit to the bit.
That's I'm never watching How to Train Your Dragon 2.
No.
Also, I've never, like, whenever I say to people, people are never like, oh my god, you have to watch it, the second one's the best one, you know? So I'm like, I'm keeping it like that, it's funny.
Yeah, people aren't crazy about the How to Train Your Dragon movies, I think.
Yes, they are.
Are they?
We are clearly in different circles.
I've never heard anyone hype it up.
Oh, people are obsessed with it.
Really?
They're doing a live action, it doesn't look good. The thing is, a lot of, like, kids' films rely on, like, magic or animals or, like, mythical creatures, and it's like, there's only so much live action you can do with that, you know?
Also, why?
Do you know what just I mean? Make a new film.
Yeah, like, sorry, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
I love that Nadja soundbite has changed my life.
Shadows. It's, what is it actually regarding?
It's regarding vampires taking over the world.
Oh, yes.
She's like, you know, vampires taking over the world, it seems like a good idea when you first hear about it, but after a while you're like, sorry, why are we doing this?
It's very real. I feel...
I say it
how
constantly.
It often feels, you know?
Once a day at least. I go,
I reckon
sorry,
a lot.
why are we doing this?
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of why are we doing this?
Yeah, let's get back to Lost.
Yeah, John thinks he's gonna be...
He said he thought he was being tested. Didn't he?
Yeah, so what, he thinks the way to pass the test is let the monster kill you?
Well, I guess he didn't think he would be killed. But he's not afraid. He's not afraid
What
of
if
the
John
monster.
was the sacrifice the island demanded?
No, that couldn't possibly be true. He's the main character.
Checkmate. I'm gonna go to Lost Island just to start telling John that the island wants him dead. Start playing mind games with him. You're like, what if the island hates you?
So, yes, I think what John thinks is everyone is scared of the monster, but he's not like other girls. He's looked into... So clearly he had some kind of confrontation with this smoke bullshit.
Yeah.
In episode 4.
And it knocked him over and it didn't kill him. So I guess that's why he thinks it won't kill him again, because it didn't kill him the first time.
Didn't kill him the first time. And he doesn't, like, when Hurley is there, he says, don't run. Like, you know, we don't need to be afraid or whatever. Everyone else is afraid. So he thinks he's gonna just go underground and commune with the creatures in the island and stuff.
I guess.
I mean, what do we know that the monster's done so far? Kill the pilot.
Knocked down a bunch of trees.
Yeah.
Appeared.
What's knocking down the trees will kill you.
It appeared around the same time that Danielle's baby got kidnapped.
Is that true?
I mean, maybe. Anything she says could not be true.
I was under the impression that the black smoke that she saw was a fire that the others lit.
Okay. So you're thinking they're separate things?
I'm thinking they're separate things. But, you know, the possibility is there that they could be the same
Possibility is there. What if the monster took her baby?
Monster could have taken a baby. Monster take the baby.
Monster take the baby. What if the monster is Ethan?
Ooh, interesting.
And he's taken the baby.
Mm.
And then he, like, turns into, like, you know, no, that's a really niche reference. You're not gonna, it's just like a monster that can take on a human form, you know? Mm-hmm. And he's Ethan, and then he sort of turns into smoke.
Yeah, well, there's the implication that the monster could be associated with the others, with the black smoke connection.
Yeah.
So they
security system to protect them, maybe. Maybe they live in the dark territory. We don't know.
But it could be the Horse Girl movie. The others have tamed the smoke. Smoke's writhing around, and Ethan goes over and puts his hand on her head.
It's okay. Maybe Ethan is the Horse Girl.
Ethan's the Horse Girl.
And John is just some guy.
Mm-hmm. He's like the bitchy popular girl, you know.
Yeah, he's pretending to be a horse girl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He only likes horses because they're cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's an interesting... But what also is interesting is how deep is that hole? Because Kate drops the dynamite down there, and John doesn't get injured.
Yeah, and it falls for a long time before we hear the explosion.
Yeah. So this is a very long monster.
Yes.
And this is, I presume, like its sort of house.
Yeah.
Like its burrow. I would assume that's like it's dragging him down there to eat him or whatever. Like, I would assume that's like...
It feels reasonable to say. And it also explains how we never see it when they're just trekking through the jungle normally. Do you know what I mean? Like, it only comes out when it wants to.
When it hears something and it, like, sleeps down there or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, it lives sort of in the depths underneath the island. What if it's in the hatch? Wouldn't that be crazy?
That would be amazing. But then how's it getting out of the hatch?
Back door? I don't know.
Yeah, the other door that John's on about.
The other door. Well, the other door is that hole.
Ah, I see. What if there are loads more? This was just the baby, you know, and then inside the hatch is the mum.
The mum is like, what have you been doing to my daughter?
Releases, yeah, like,
and it kills them all
out that big tunnel at the end, and then it's just like, yeah, absolutely destroys everyone, and then it's like, Mum, oh my god, reunited.
Oh, you're safe.
And then they get reunited.
And then rolling credits. That's season 2, guys. You don't need to watch it.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's only like 10 minutes long.
Yeah. It's all pre-title sequence. So let's talk a little bit about the dynamics of the people in this scene. Because we talked about the monster.
Segue.
And thank you. And how it pisses me off a bit.
Yeah.
But, so we've got Jack refusing to put the dynamite in Kate's bag.
Interesting.
Obviously, at first, I'm like, you misogynist, you know.
That's your first thought?
Yeah. Well, because he's just saying, like, no, Kate...
Your first thought isn't that he loves her and he doesn't want her to get hurt?
No.
And he would put his life in danger to protect her?
No, my first thought was he thinks he's the man and he has to protect the woman and the woman can't risk her life.
Insane! That's the conclusion you've jumped to?
Yeah.
We've skipped a few steps there.
Well, because it's lost.
Yeah, but it's because he likes her and he wants her to be safe. You're not saying that, like, if one of us had to carry dynamite... Actually, no. I'm ending that sentence there because you would make me carry the dynamite.
I would simply not be in the situation in the first place. I fear. Okay, that makes me feel a bit better about the whole situation.
That's how you've been thinking about it this whole time?
Yeah.
And you don't think that, like, he's doing it because he likes her?
Well, no, not really.
Why isn't Hurley carrying the dynamite? Because no one wants him to get hurt.
I think Hurley was like... Kate volunteered. Hurley didn't want to.
I know Hurley didn't want to, but also it's like everyone likes him and no one wants him to die.
Of course. No one wants anyone to die, do they?
Exactly. And so if you're in that kind of situation, you go, I'll do it so you'll be okay.
Yeah, but that's what Kate does. But Jack doesn't respect that.
Yeah, because, I don't know, love makes you crazy.
Stop.
Also, can I just say, Jack puts his backpack down immediately, Kate's keep hers on.
This is what I was
he
going to
was
say.
Right.
This is what I was going to say. I feel like it's a misogynistic move, but ultimately he did make the right call because she fully sprinted into the jungle with her backpack
runs
on.
off with that backpack on.
Yeah.
And she would have died.
She would have, yes. She would have exploded, yes. So fundamentally it was the right call. And
He's a good leader.
He says later on, you know, like, everyone wants me to be the leader until I make a decision. And it's like, okay, I understand that. And he's a bit pissy at this point, isn't he? Because
Jack's got sass this episode. Jack is like pulling it out. He keeps just bitching with everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be like that too if I had to spend that much time with John Locke.
Yeah. If we survive tonight, we're gonna have a Locke problem.
We're gonna have a Locke problem.
That did make me giggle as well.
I'm like, yeah, he's like, once we get past this part, he's gonna be insufferable. And also, like, he's gonna start putting people's lives in danger.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, he already has.
He's already gotten someone killed because of his, the island demanded it. What if he just fully shot Jack in the chest and then went, the island demanded it?
Island told me to do it.
Island told me to. Like, at this point in time, he could do that. Like, if I was there, I'd be thinking he's just gonna do something completely insane and tell me that the island told him to do it.
Yes. There's definitely a possibility.
Like, that's the
Locke problem.
Yeah.
That's the Locke problem. Yes.
Yeah.
But I do think that scene is pretty cool when it's like, you know, Jack is like holding on to John and he's fully doing the splits over that hole.
Yeah,
you know?
no, that is
it's
cool.
It's all very like dirty and sweaty and everyone's like, oh my god, it's like a life or death moment, you know. And they're like, Kate, be careful. Don't do it, Kate. Do it. Ah! And she's like screaming. She just drops it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I do find that scene really fun. And I think there's a nice little parallel between that and in episode 5, I want to say, when Jack falls off the cliff and Locke pulls him up. I think there's a nice little parallel there.
Yeah, no, that's a nice little collection. I didn't draw that. Partially it is kind of like Jack taking the dynamite. I'm a bit like, I'd be pissed off if I was Kate, because I'd be like, well, I could do it myself. But like, I understand why he did it, you know? I
swear I've seen someone put this on Kate. You know how people on Tumblr do like a Tumblr post or a tweet or something and they put it onto pictures of characters. I love that genre of posting. Don't know what it's called, but I love that. And I've seen one with Kate, which I just think sums her up so perfectly. It was whoever made this, you're a genius, because it is so completely accurate.
Tumblr user whatever, if you're listening.
It was a picture of Jack and Kate, and it was, sorry, I'm the girl of your dreams. Literally not my problem.
Fully.
That is her.
Fully, she's like, this is non-issue right now. Like, let me do my own thing. Also, I love that they immediately abandoned the staggering system. Like,
I know.
It's like, instantly, it's like, and now Kate and Hurley are going to chat, and Jack and John are going to stand next to each other with dynamite in their backpacks and argue. I mean, can you imagine? I think maybe the only thing that was stopping Jack from, like, pulling a punch in that scene is, like, if I hit him, his dynamite explodes, and then my dynamite explodes, and then we all die.
Very much.
I liked the little Kate and Hurley conversation there, because all it does is explicitly tell people, in case you didn't notice already, the numbers are in people's backstories.
You're talking about the numbers.
I was like, we knew that, but it's like just in case.
Yeah.
I feel like they were like, what if people don't notice?
Yeah. Also, that one was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Kate's episode is like episode 3.
To be fair, you might not notice that one.
But I really like that as well, because we also get Hurley kind of, in his sort of fear, he's transitioning more towards what Leonard was.
Yeah.
Because he's repeating the numbers, you know, over and over again. I like the subtle implication that maybe you hear the ones that are important to you.
Yeah.
You know, like Kate goes, I thought I heard you say 23. But whilst we're on these characters, shall we talk about the flashbacks in this episode?
Yeah, sure. We're talking about Hurley. Let's talk about Hurley's...
Yeah, so we kind of only get 2 in this episode. Really.
Yeah, it's
Hurley
a sort of montage.
Yeah. So I really like Hurley's one. I really like that it's a very long scene and it's kind of a bit more comedic in tone, because Hurley's our comic relief character, right?
Yeah.
It's got this really interesting, like, fun... sort of, I wrote jaunty musical score.
Yeah, it's got a sort of like upbeat kind of jig going on.
Yeah, but when you really sit down and analyse it, it is possibly the most tragic flashback that we get.
It's like
pre-plane, you know, like in this finale ones, because it's like It's his mum's birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, so first of all, the reason why he needed to make the flight was because it was his mum's birthday. So he wakes up after that plane crash on his mum's birthday.
Oh. I never noticed that before.
No.
Third watch through, I never noticed that he said it's my mum's birthday and that's why I need to make the flight. Oh my god. And we've met Hurley's mum, haven't we?
We love her.
She's
I know, I was trying to
iconic.
remember her name. Starts with a C.
Camilla? Camille or Camilla?
Or Carmen or something?
Yeah, maybe Carmen.
I don't remember. It starts with a C. We love her. She's iconic. And she thinks her son is dead on her birthday.
On her birthday! Oh my god!
And it's the way that, like, there's all this bad luck leading up to it. But then the real bad luck is that he makes the flight.
Yeah.
Like, that's the real... He was probably like, oh, finally something goes right for me. I made the flight. But that's the bad luck, is that he was on the flight that crashed.
I know. Because you kind of think everything is trying to stop him. All of the numbers are trying to stop him from getting on the plane. But really, are they leading him towards getting on the plane?
Yeah.
You know?
Because, like, any ordinary person in that situation might have just gone, oh, fuck, I'll just get the next one, you know?
Yeah.
But because he was like, I'm not going to let my bad luck control me, I'm going to get on this plane, it's almost like it's like reverse psychology.
Yeah.
It's like the numbers are playing a mind game with him.
Oh, yeah. Big time. But yes, just in case you didn't spot some of the numbers instances, when his car breaks down, on the dashboard it said like 4 miles an hour or something, and then like 42. Yeah, it definitely said 4 and 42 on there.
The flight was leaving at gate 23.
The flight's left from gate 23, and when he is on the mobility scooter and he drives past a girls' football team and they all have the numbers on the backs of their shirts, he also, I think he pays the guy $1,600 to use the scooter.
Which, that guy's iconic. I love that old man. I just had a hip replacement, I need this. Never mind, you can have it. It's that the flight attendant says to him, I don't think you're meant to make this flight. I was like, oh, he's meant to make that flight.
And then the other flight attendant, Jimmer, she goes, today's your lucky day. Oh, Jimmer! Oh, Jimmer, you don't know what you're saying.
Oh, Jimmer, we're really in it now. We also had incredible Dr. Art's cameo in this episode.
Oh my god, yes!
So funny. He's behind him in the queue, and it's just like back of the line. They all had good accents in this episode. I liked that guy.
The fat-phobic woman who was very mean to Hurley when
she wasn't.
Her accent.
She was definitely English.
Yeah.
But I like back of the line. And then it just Art's going, now you're taking the computer out now.
He's such an angry man.
He's so funny. He's so funny. Because he's just so pissed off. Because I'm like, also, yeah, I'd be thinking that, but it's the fact that he says it.
Yeah.
Also that he didn't need to have a line. Like, it could have been like, oh, he's just in the scene, and that's fun. But the fact that they wrote him a line and it's that is just so funny to me.
Or maybe it was improv. Maybe he was like, I'm throwing this in. That's what Arts would do in this scenario.
It's what I feel in my soul he would say. But then I know we'll talk about the montage properly, I'm sure, later on. But in the montage, Arts is being nice.
Yeah, he helps Claire
with her bag, and he like smiles at her, and I was like, oh, Arts can be nice. Isn't that lovely? Another numbers cameo in this episode. The boat was 50 miles off.
Oh, I didn't notice that one. Very nice. So it's 15 miles off when they noticed
when they first saw the boat on the beep.
They should have known. Hurley wasn't there.
Hurley wasn't there.
Fuck. I did notice that Sawyer said he was 8 when his parents died.
Yeah.
So that's also one.
Another number. Mm-hmm. That's not on the list, I don't think. There's a Wikipedia page on the Lostpedia. There's a page for each of the numbers that lists every single appearance of the numbers, some of which are a huge stretch. But I don't think
it must be.
It surely is.
It's really funny going on the Lostpedia because you will like be reading someone's page and then like you know, the number 4 will be hyperlinked.
Yeah.
It just makes me giggle.
It's great. The trivia section of every Lostpedia page is my favourite thing in the world, because there's so many things in there where you're like, that's a stretch.
But I love that people are taking the time to do that.
No, I love it. I think it's so great. Yeah, they were 50 miles
nice
off the shore.
Well, not nice.
Not nice.
Doesn't end well.
Cool. The boat scenes. Let's talk about the boat. Let's talk about the raft.
Okay.
First of all, Jin, heart emoji.
I wrote down absolutely gorgeous bonding moment between Jin and Michael.
It was amazing. It was so sweet. And also, like, the fact that Michael says, like, I wish you'd made one of these for me. I'm like, no one's ever talked about learning Korean to talk to them, you know?
Yeah.
And we said, actually, Waltz, in, like, the pilot, he, like, mimics what Sun says the word for, like, toothpaste is or whatever. And I said, like, I think that's the only time anyone ever tries to speak Korean. Here we go. What Michael pulling through.
Absolutely.
And, like, that's so sweet that, like, obviously, like, if he'd known she was doing that Michael would have said, make me one.
Yeah.
So I can talk to him.
Yeah. So fucking
so
sweet.
Nice.
And they're going to have a beautiful bilingual polycule.
Exactly. A beautiful blossoming romance between these two. And the watch moment, I think, is so special.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because obviously Michael kept... Well, how does Michael still have the watch? Because he throws it at Jin, doesn't he, in that episode? He's like, here's your watch back. I guess he just takes it again when Jin doesn't keep it. But anyway, he gives it back to Jin, but the fact that Jin gives it to him and says, like, it's yours, well, he says you, but the implication is this is yours, I'm giving it to you, I think is just so amazing with the fact that they're on the raft, because that means they're going, or they think at least they're going back to the real world. And if they're going to LA, I know that Sun's dad is still going to expect Jin to be delivering those packages.
Oh, yeah.
I know that if he said I lost it in the plane crash, he'd be like, well, that's not good enough, I'm having you killed. You know, like...
I bet he's got agents everywhere.
Yeah.
Looking for Jin and Sun.
And so, like, the fact that Jin goes like, it's yours, keep it, is just so important to me, because it's him being like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I'm doing something nice for my friend, instead of being controlled by this guy who, like, literally, like, had so much control out of him that he tried to kill Michael when he saw that he had the watch, even though they were on an island, and now they're going back to the real world and he's saying he can keep it. That's character development.
Huge.
That's huge.
Huge. Yeah. It's symbolic on so many levels, because it's like the journey that Jin and Michael have gone on together as characters, the character development that Jin has had with, like, when he goes, like, you know, I'm here because I was being punished, and he has this kind of realization that, like, Sun is the most important thing to him and he needs to do all of this and yada yada yada. Like, yeah, the rejection of his old life, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well as the rejection of the beef between
him and Michael. And also, like, when he was fixing the rudder, you could see the handcuff really prominently.
Yeah, I know.
And I was like, you don't really notice it often, but in this scene it was really prominent. I do think that was on purpose, because it's kind of reminding you how far we've come since, like, where he was at the beginning.
Absolutely.
I mean, and then Sawyer comes along and ruins it.
Does he say anything in this scene?
Well, later on.
Later on.
Because then the raft is having this lovely, like, cozy vibe.
Yeah.
Everything's nice, everyone's friends, and then Sawyer decides to...
open his mouth.
Spoil the vibes completely.
I mean... So we've talked about how this is the daddy issues show.
Yeah.
And we get a nice little, you know, a nice little insight into what Sawyer would have been like as a father.
Is Sawyer's hypothetical children have daddy issues? Already?
Terrible. He would have been abusive and horrid. But I guess we kind of get the idea that this is a
yeah, I mean, there's
thing.
the moment of vulnerability from him, isn't there, that we don't get, because, like, the way it took Kate so much pushing to get that information out of him, and now he's giving it willingly about what happened to his parents. So that's, like, growth.
Yeah.
But Not great.
No.
I mean, it's a nice little reminder for Michael, isn't it? That, like, you might not be great,
but at least
you could
you're
be
not
worse.
No, but obviously that scene is very exciting because it's when we get the beep.
The beep beep.
Oh, yes.
Delicious.
So I think from that point forwards, because I would say the start of this episode is actually kind of slow. Like,
yeah, considering that it starts with John nearly getting killed, it is kind of slow.
Yeah, weirdly. It's a little bit slow, pacing-wise. But I'd say that point is like a turning point where it's just like tense, edge of your seat, so like, you know, invested and oh my god, heart's racing from that point till the end of the episode.
Because it's like they're gonna get rescued. And then they don't. And like that moment, I think that scene where from like the second time round when like Walt's awake in there and they do the flare gun and the boat comes, that scene is like one of the best done scenes, I think, in all of Lost. I'm gonna say it
scenes
confidently.
That are so important to Velvet.
Scenes that's so important to me because I just think it's done so well in that like watching this, knowing the outcome was like fucking heart-wrenching because it's like they're playing a mind game with them. When they know, like the others on their boat know that the raft is there. They know exactly where it is. They don't need the flare gun. When they start sailing away, they're messing with them. And they're going like, oh, it's okay. They'll show us where they are, you know? And that's when they shoot the flare gun. And that's like, it's like they've got permission. It's like it's like when cats like let the mouse get away for a bit just to jump on it again, you know? It's like they've let them think they're going to be free.
Yeah.
And they've brought them back in. And it's the way that like the first time round, it's so exciting.
So exciting.
And it's like that uplifting music plays.
Yeah.
And they're all yelling and it's like, oh my god, this is perfect. This is exactly what you want it to be. And then the music carries on and the scene carries on and the guy's just not giving you the reaction that you think he's going to give. And they're still so excited. They're all hugging each other.
No, it's such a good point because you don't realise, as a viewer, you don't realise. It's only like now, we're watching it for the third time and I was like, when you actually listen to what he's saying, like Michael's going, yeah, man, there were loads of us, we're on an island, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, wow, isn't that something? He kind of is really distant and cold. And he's not like, well, come on board, you know, you guys must be freezing. Or anything like that. And
he's really just not giving them anything, but because they're so excited, they're still jumping around and sharing all this information, hugging each other. And then it's like...
And the show and the musical score codifies you as a viewer to respond in that way too. So it's not until he goes, we're going to have to take the boy, that it switches.
And it's the fact that the music carries on that is so important to me, because it's like the music keeps going until it starts being weird. Like you would think the music would have faded out by now and you'd just be watching them get on the boat and get warm or whatever, but it's like the music keeps going and then you're like, this isn't right. It gets like uncanny, you know? It gets like it's like they shouldn't be this excited for this long, and it gets like weird, and then you're suddenly like, something's wrong.
Yeah. That's
and
such
then
a good point.
And like when the other two guys in the boat get up and you're suddenly like, oh god.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. That scene, it's almost like a play, isn't it? Like, it's such a long scene without any cuts, and I think that's so brilliant that we really get this whole journey of emotions from, like, the argument, which, by the way, I think the dialogue's super well written during the argument, you know?
Absolutely.
Because it's like, you know, it's like just really quick back and forth, and it's like they're both, again, making good points and everything. I really like how he goes, we don't even know if Saeed's radar works, and then Sawyer goes, have you ever known him to fix anything that doesn't work? I liked that because it's also a bit of a, like, Saeed and Sawyer's beef is in the past, you know?
Yeah, like it's like a Sawyer is on Saeed's side suddenly. And it's like, you know that it's all like trust, and when like Jin starts getting involved and Michael's just talking back to him, and Sawyer's like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
I actually really, Sawyer said, like, hey Han, do you and Chewie want to give him it? I really liked that because a lot of Sawyer's nicknames for people and cultural references
are very offensive
and not funny in any way, shape or form, even though they're clearly written to be funny, and I really don't like that. And I think it's partially like, you know, this is an over 20-year-old show, but it's also, that's not really an excuse for the way that some of Sawyer's dialogue is written. But this one is just harmless and fun.
That one's just fun. It's just fun, and it's like, it's a dig at the fact that Jin can't speak English that's not, like, racist, because it's just like, because it's like Han understands Chewie, and Chewie understands Han, but no one else knows what he's saying, and that's like, it's very much
analogy,
the dynamic that they have going on, that like Jin and Michael spent so long building the boat that Michael kind of knows what he's saying, even though he doesn't know what he's saying. It's so, and that like the way that Walt is just watching the screen as well, very much like his DS.
Yes, that's very nice.
He's just staring at the screen.
Gorgeous. And then he chimes in with the, like, it's driving away, or it's going away. And then it comes back, and then after Michael fires the gun, silence for such a long time.
And then you hear
you hear it beeping. You hear it coming back. Oh my goodness. And then we've talked about the great emotional bit, and I think it's really nice as well that, like, all of them are all hugging each other in that moment. And I know that was probably just like the directors going, just hug, just be really excited, blah, blah, blah. But I do think it is important that, Sawyer's not like, get away from me, you annoying little kid. He's like, oh my God, we're going to get rescued.
No, absolutely. And just, and the way, like, the gun, like, you see Sawyer go for the gun, it's like, oh, they're gonna, he's got it though, he's prepared. And he doesn't even have the chance to fire it.
It's because the others are built different. We know this from Ethan.
Because they're ready, and they know.
We know how absolutely, like, Ethan knocked Jack the fuck out in that fist fight.
Yeah.
Like, these others
they're
are
built
like...
different.
Yeah.
And they just know, and just, I really appreciate also just, like, Jin's consistent commitment to just jumping at the problem. Like, where Sawyer goes in the water and Jin is, like, on it.
Yeah.
Right in there after him.
Yeah.
Because Jin is, like, he's a very physical character. Because he has such a language barrier. But I think it comes out really well in that he's always just like, I will fix the problem. I will jump at it with my full weight. And it happens a lot, and it happened, with the, when the rudder fell off, it was Sawyer who jumped in after it, but Jin kind of does the similar kind of just going to help him. And when, like, even when, like, he sees Michael with the watch, it's like he goes for him. He just throws his entire body at the problem. And he did it in the flashbacks even, when he has to, when he's stopping the guy with the white gloves from killing the other guy, and he, like, throws him into the pond, and it's like, it's like full body, head first, eyes closed, can't lose,
Exactly, that's Jin's philosophy. Yeah. And then they throw this, like, homemade bomb onto the raft.
They explode the boat also. That was low-key unnecessary. I was like, you didn't need to also blow up the boat.
Such a good point.
I was like, I know it's like, it's probably like, so they don't come after them.
Yes.
But, like, how much, that boat has an engine. Their boat doesn't.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with it? Also, Sawyer's been shot. Yeah. Sawyer and Jin are currently in the water. It feels like it's just like and die.
It's like a kind of, you thought you could get off this island, please.
And just in case you're thinking about coming after us, boat gone. Like, calm down.
Don't build another one, because we'll do the same. It's that kind of vibe, isn't it,
It's,
But it's also, amazing. I think, to try and kill Michael, Jin, and Sawyer.
I think so. I think because also it's like, then no one will ever know. Because it's like, if Michael and Jin and Sawyer drown, then all the people on the beach are just going to think they sailed off and they never came back.
Yeah.
They think they just hit a storm or something.
They won't know that Walt's been kidnapped. And also, like, we know that the others, it seems like they care about children and babies, because they take Claire, but they don't take anyone else. And they also don't seem bothered about killing everybody else. They try to kill Charlie, they kill Scott. He says, I'm going to kill everybody until you give me Claire back. So they take Walt, just kill the rest of them.
Yeah.
And they're not going to, make it back, because they're just stranded in the middle of the sea with nothing. No boat, no nothing. It's all exploded.
15 miles away. 15 miles is too far to swim.
Yeah. With a bullet wound in your arm.
With a bullet wound. It's crazy. It is the one thing that really takes me out of this scene, though, is this Tumblr post. I told Ariel about it, and she didn't appreciate it. But I don't know who made it. Whoever it is, I love you. It's just this post that says, like, whenever Sawyer gets angry, he just starts serving face. And then it says, like, Walt gets kidnapped and he's on the raft mogging. And I'm just like... yeah, because it's true, because genuinely they pan over and he's like... And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, but I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm sorry, Tumblr user, whoever. I don't like that because I think it's really cool how Sawyer gets really serious and, like, silent and he's still when he is really truly angry.
Yeah, I know, and I feel the same, but it's just that has just ruined it for me.
I mean, I guess in this situation it is a bit more out of the blue because, like, in the other ones it's usually like
a quiet moment. Like when he's like whispering, just that scene where him and Said are like whispering to each other. That's different because that's like a very long, slow, serious
and also
scene.
Sawyer's the centre of the scene, whereas here it's Michael and Walt who are the focus, and then it just pans around.
Pans over and he's giving blue steel in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the one moment that I couldn't stop thinking about it the entire time I watched. Every time the raft scenes came on, I would just be like, yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah. And they're right as well, is I was like, oh, it's just like they just picked that scene at random, but then it's like, no, that is like genuinely the scene where it's like where they realise it's the others on the boat, and it's literally a shot of Michael and Walt like together, and then it pans over and it's genuinely like the most like serving cheekbones you've ever seen.
And Jin's right there.
And somehow Sawyer's winning the cheekbones off. So the boy. So we're gonna take the boy.
Yes.
Is Walt.
Yes. Not Aaron.
This is something I did not see coming. At all.
No. Hugely blindsided.
Because it's like also you think of those characters as kind of they've escaped.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind that like they were within this,
Yeah, absolutely.
within the scope of the others. But they have a boat.
The others have a boat. I mean, that is a bit of a revelation, isn't it? There are too many revelations to really count at this point. But
it's like, first of all, it's not just Ethan.
Yeah.
That was up in the air for a while.
It was.
Was it just Ethan? There are at least three other men.
Four, I think. I think there were four. Because I think there was the guy with the beard, then there were the two who kidnapped Walt, and then there was a woman who threw the bomb.
But yeah. So we know there's at least 5 others, one of whom is now deceased. We know they have a boat.
Keep track, people. Keep a tally going.
We know they have a boat.
We know they have a boat.
We know they're crazy evil.
We know that they want
children. There seems to be why they wanted Claire. Which, like, we kind of knew that. Because it's like, why else would they take Claire and no one else?
But the interesting thing is, like, after the baby's born, they don't want him. They want Walt.
Come for him. Yeah, now they want Walt. Do they want Walt because of his powers? Because he's special?
Do they know? How would they know about his powers?
Walt knew. He said, we have to leave. They're coming. They're coming for me.
Oh my god, he knew! Oh my god! Yeah.
I love Walt's powers as well in that sense, because it's like, it doesn't seem to be something he can access all the time. Like, it seems like he has these moments of clarity, and then he can't. So, like, at no point on the raft was he like, someone's coming. When he saw that beeping, he wasn't like, we have to run away, don't fire the flare gun. Like, but like, it's when like John touched his hand, he was like, don't open it.
Yeah.
And he didn't even seem to know what he was talking about. It's almost like he's being used as like a vessel for something, you know?
Or he just gets this vague
He gets these
impression.
feelings. And maybe that's like what the psychic felt. When he just is like, it was blurry and bad.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Walt's seeing. Maybe he doesn't really know what's going to happen. He just gets these feelings, you know?
It is really interesting.
It's crazy.
But it's also like, we know that Walt has the ability to summon or command creatures of some kind.
Walt's the horse girl.
Walt is the horse girl.
Walt is what John wishes he was. I think we've had this conversation already.
And it is true.
Truly, like, John just wishes he was that 10-year-old psychic, you know?
Yeah, no, completely he does. But, like, it's interesting that, like, Walt hasn't been able to protect himself.
Yeah, his
from these
powers
people.
haven't protected him.
Yeah.
Is it destiny?
Why would you say that?
Well, because John's talk about this is meant to happen. Is it that this was meant to happen to Walt?
Oh, no.
But I don't know, right? What does John have to say about all this?
Yeah.
Is Walt the sacrifice the island that others demanded?
I didn't see it as like a destiny thing. I don't know. I think it's more of a like...
I mean, I don't necessarily see it as a destiny thing. I think it's just if we're talking about, like, John and Walt and the kind of magic, and I think it's something that, like, could be part of it.
It's a possibility, absolutely.
Because, like, what Jack says, I don't believe in destiny, and John's like, yes, you do. You just don't know it. He seems to think that, like, everybody has a destiny. Everybody will believe in magic if they're shown the right proof or whatever.
I actually think maybe Walt's fear is not one of his emotions that can kind of be related to his psychic ability. Because we talked about how he was angry, in the flashback, he's angry about his fact that his parents aren't paying attention to him, and that's what brings the bird to the window.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's what brings the polar bear as well.
It's also what brings the polar bear on the island. And then we talked about how the kind of nice familial moment at the end may be what brought Claire back to the camp. But I don't actually think his fear... We've had no evidence that fear is one of these emotions that can help, because he's obviously really afraid of the polar bear. If he was able to say, go away,
it would leave.
The polar bear would have gone away.
No, that's a good point. But Danielle obviously thought that by the boy, they meant Aaron, which is perfectly reasonable. We all thought that, you know?
But she says she heard them whisper in the jungle. We're coming for the boy. Is that what she said?
They said we're coming for the child, and then they said we're coming for the boy. Yeah. So yeah,
which is really interesting because the whispers, they haven't said anything coherent apart from it all comes back around.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when Saeed hears them, it's all just, you know. And obviously, when Sawyer hears it, we're like, this is not the others. You know, this is something else.
It felt more like a sort of, like a symbolic, like, magical thing. That, like, he's hearing that voice because he's thinking about the fact that he's killed that guy.
Yeah. So some kind of island manifestation, some kind of ghost manifestation, something in Sawyer's psyche. It could also be that he heard some, like, something that sounded like it, and his brain went, oh my god.
I mean, we said earlier, Hurley's repeating the numbers over and over again. Kate heard 23 because 23 meant something to her.
Exactly.
Maybe it's that they were saying something similar, and Sawyer heard that because that's what he thought he was hearing. Exactly. Maybe they did say other details that would indicate they were coming for Walton, not Aaron, but Danielle didn't hear those.
Yes.
Because what she was paying attention to was the fact that they were taking the baby.
But then that's also an interesting idea of, what if the whispers aren't the others, and Rousseau heard... we're coming for the boy, somehow, in this kind of ethereal, whatever the whispers are. Do you know what I mean? What would that mean? What would the implication of that be? Because that's something that has genuinely happened in the show. Do you know what I mean? We know that the others planned to kidnap the boy, and they did. And Rousseau heard that. Yeah, it's not just something in her mind, or is it?
Maybe the whispers are not so much the actual others, but some kind of entity of the island that's trying to, like, guide them. Maybe it was trying to warn them they're gonna kidnap the boy.
But Rousseau went, I will facilitate
instructions. Kidnap boy. Got it.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, we don't know.
These are all really interesting questions that this finale has raised. I think it's also really nice that it's a season finale and we kind of come away with it with more questions than when we went in.
Yeah.
Even though we got the answer of, like, the monster, but...
And we know sort of semi what's in the hatch. Like...
we know a little bit.
It's bits and bobs, but actually it's really set it up for the next one.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. Like, I think... it's something that very much, like, at least the early seasons of Lost do. I think later on it all kind of blends into one. But the early seasons very much have this amazing kind of overarching... They have their own enclosed plot line, but they also do a really good job at setting things up to, like connecting to the next one.
Agree.
You know?
Agree, absolutely.
Because this season has had this whole overarching plotline of like, this is one of the first things that happens in like the very beginning of the pilot is we meet Claire and she says she's having contractions, and here over this entire season we've had up to her giving birth and having her baby and then her baby being taken, and we had, you know, we discovered the hatch because Claire got kidnapped, and then now we have the hatch opening, like it all is kind of connected and,
don't forget
set up
the
from the beginning.
others, you know, like
the others have been coming in,
when we got introduced to them as a concept
was because of the baby, and now it's all
and Rousseau and
Rousseau, and it's all connected, and Rousseau got her baby taken. It's like it's all connected. Everything's connected. It all comes back around.
It all comes back around, baby.
Saeed and Danielle are so special to me because it's the way Saeed knows exactly how to be with her.
Oh my god.
It's like I noticed really, really prominently, Saeed is pointing the gun around, right, when they go to the, when they find the black smoke. As soon as he hears Aaron crying and he turns and sees her, he puts it away. It's like he's not threatening her with the gun. Like if that was Charlie who had the gun, he'd be threatening her with it. He'd be like, give me the baby right now. But he just, it's the way he like knows.
They're kindred spirits.
Goes up to her and she just gives him the baby and he's like, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh my god, I was like, this scene is weirdly, like, I know I've been saying the scenes that are so important to Ariel, the criterias are, makes me feel some type of way, and I remembered it, like it stuck out in my memory from previous watch throughs. This one didn't. I didn't remember this scene at all, really, but oh my god, did it hit me in the feelings today. I really liked how we heard Aaron crying, and then we hear Rousseau crying, coming in over the top of that before we see her, and it's just like so devastating, because in this moment Rousseau's a big villain. Do you know what I mean? Like we saw in the previous episode where she's like, you know, you don't want me to hold him, and so she's scary, right?
It's almost like, it's like the show has gone like, surprise, Rousseau's actually a secret villain, but now it's like she's not.
No. She's a victim more than anybody else, you know? She's just vulnerable and she just misses
she just wants her baby back
so much. Yeah. Do we know?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't know how hard this podcast is, people.
It's so hard to not spoil these things. Yeah.
And yeah, I just think it really beautifully acted by I want to say her name is Mira Furlan.
Yeah.
Who plays Rousseau, and by Naveen Andrews, like
so brilliant.
So
it's just
Don Monahan's fucking around in the corner. You're pathetic. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Actually, fuck you.
No,
Do you know
Charlie.
What I mean? Like, don't piss me off, Charlie.
Charlie is like, I understand his thought process, but also, come on, like,
read the
room. Also, more than anything else, don't say those things to her. Even if you think that, don't say that to her while she's holding the baby, first of all. While she's clearly in a very vulnerable state. Like, come on, Charlie. Get it together. Have some emotional intelligence, please.
Yes. Have some class. Good. Have some grace and decorum. You've got all the grace of a reversing dump truck without any tyres on.
Exactly.
Charlie.
But other than that, it's such an intimate scene. The fact that it's so dark as well is so brilliant. Also, like, it's a tiny detail, but something I really liked is that Aaron doesn't, like, he cries throughout the whole scene. Because I think, like, he's crying, obviously, and that's when they hear him. And I think, like, there's this, like, symbolic narrative idea when you're watching it that, like, oh, Saeed will take the baby and then he'll stop crying because they've got him back from the villain. But it's like, he does keep crying because he's a baby. Yeah. But also it's like, they haven't got him home yet. Yeah. You know, they haven't gone back to his mum yet.
Yeah, absolutely. He's still afraid.
And I think he's still scared. He's still freaking out. He doesn't know the difference between this stranger that's taken him and this stranger that's taken him. And he might know, like, he might know Saeed. I don't think he does. But, like, maybe he knows Charlie a little bit better when Charlie takes him because he's been there for more.
But don't forget that he was crying the entire time Charlie was looking after him as well.
Yeah, he's also, Sawyer's not there.
Sawyer's not there.
If Sawyer had gone with Saeed, it all would have been okay.
It would have been fine.
But, like, yeah, I just really liked that he keeps crying even after they've got him back.
Completely.
Because I was like, it's that, like, tiny little light, but he's not safe yet. You know? Not until they get him back to the caves and his mum.
Yeah, so much of the televisography of this scene was lovely as well. I really liked how, when you mentioned Saeed's line saying it's okay, that was done in a really nice way. It was framed where like his face was just coming into shot, really close to the camera, really in the foreground, almost out of focus, and you got like his kind of whisper really loud. And I really liked that because it kind of put you into Rousseau's perspective and position in that moment, and you feel so vulnerable and yet so comforted.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant.
And I love, I'm not necessarily saying there's something romantic between Saeed and Rousseau. I don't think there has to be.
I think they have an intrinsic connection.
Exactly, and I think that is fantastic.
And that is far more compelling than any kind of romantic. It's almost like a queerbait relationship, you know, like the ones that are like,
in a way, yes,
that are like the compelling male friendships that everyone is like, they're clearly romantically connected. It's almost like one of those. It's like they have this intrinsic connection, they get each other immediately.
Yes,
Saeed immediately knows how to talk to her. Also, it was pointed out, I think we've discussed it in the past as well, but I read about it on Tumblr recently as well, of how Saeed is the only character who consistently calls her Danielle. Everyone else calls her Rousseau or the French woman, or like he like is very insistent on calling her Danielle. And that I think is really important in that like humanizing her and that connection with her. But also it's like he's a soldier, he's probably been called by his last name for his whole career, you know.
And that's dehumanizing, right?
And that's
by design.
That's the point, is that they don't call them by their name. And so, like, he knows how important it is for her to hear her own name.
Yeah. Oh
my God.
And I'd like to say I like to call her Rousseau because I think it's cool.
Rousseau is a great surname.
Yeah.
But it's like also Rousseau is important as a name because it's like you've got Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the philosopher, but also Henri Rousseau, the painter, and those two are both very important to like the design of Danielle's character.
We've talked about this before.
So it's like it is important. Yeah. Her name is very significant, but I really like that Saeed insists on calling her Danielle.
Agree. And yeah, this is the thing. I'm not saying I wish Saeed and Rousseau, Danielle, ended up as like a couple, as a romantic couple.
Not necessarily,
but I just think that there is something so beautiful between the connection between those two characters, something so like raw, and that is much closer to love, I think, even though they barely know each other, than him and Shannon. I find it so jarring when he's in a scene with Shannon, even in this episode where it was quite sweet, where she was like,
it was a nice moment.
He was like, you know, the baby's back, I'm gonna go sexily wash my hair in the river, and Shannon's looking around, and then he's like, oh my God, and they hug, and it's nice. I'm still like, I don't believe it though.
I still don't really believe it.
I don't believe it, and it just feels so insincere and forced to me as a pairing.
Yeah. There's so much more, like, Shannon could just be doing so much more interesting things.
Yeah.
You know?
Saeed could be doing so many more interesting things.
Like kissing Rousseau. Yeah. But, I think, like, I've said it before, but I just think it's so much more compelling if Shannon doesn't end up with a man. And not end up with a man in the sense of she should have been a lesbian. That's not what I'm saying. Maybe she should have, but, like, her whole thing is that she bases her value on what men think of her.
Yeah.
It would have been so much more compelling if she'd been on her own.
Absolutely. It would have saved us so much fucking trouble.
Anyway, let's not get into that. Let's back up a bit and talk about the scene where Saeed blows up Charlie's face.
This scene.
Because that is...
This scene borderline unnecessary.
So why?
Why is it in the show?
I was going to say so many questions. It's mostly just why over and over again. Because, like, what narrative purpose does it serve? None. Right? It could... I understand, like, it's like, oh, she's set traps so they don't follow her. And then, like, at the end, you've got Claire washing the blood off of Charlie's face or whatever. Sure. But
fine,
okay. But
I guess, you know that meme? I guess.
But it didn't need to be, first of all, it didn't need to be that gross.
It's pretty.
It's so...
Oof.
It feels like what happened is someone in the writer's room discovered this was a thing you could do with an injury and went, let's write it in, you know?
I genuinely think that's probably what it was, and I can't blame them for that.
Because it's cool.
As a writer, I'd be like, hey, this is a cool thing. I want to put it in my show.
It's very cool. It's very weird. It's very gross. It's very cool. It's very good as well that it comes from Saeed, because it's not something that Jack would ever think to do, even though he's the one you go to with your injuries. Like, I like that it's the way Charlie says, I'm not a doctor, and Charlie's, what, you're a soldier. What do people do when people get wounded? And he's like, well, this is what we do. We blow up each other's faces.
Did you notice how he completely shifted in that moment? Before he's like, Charlie, we need to get you back to camp. Like, this is not, and then he goes, you're a soldier, and then it's like, boom.
And he's like, you're right.
Silence. And it's like,
I'm on a battlefield right now.
Yeah, I'm back in the zone. I'm back in...
Cool, calm, collected Saeed, who knows what to do.
Almost like when he's, sharpening the bamboo to go and torture Sawyer.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like that.
Suddenly it's like, that practice.
And I'm like, first of all, where did he get the pliers from? Who brings pliers on an expedition to save a baby?
You might need them.
You never know.
Torturer's kit. Pliers.
This is like me.
For tooth pulling.
Me, whenever I leave the house, I take an umbrella, sun cream, I take pads, I take tissues, I take emergency nail varnish, I take emergency eyeshadow, I take all sorts of stuff with me, because I'm like, you never know.
You never know. Pliers. This is obviously things that he's needed.
Saeed is one of those girlies who has the huge handbag that's full of shit.
Yeah. He's always prepared. He's the kind of guy that's like, you say you have a headache, and he's pulled out like 4 different kinds of painkillers, and he's like, take your pick, have water, what do you need? Do you need to sit down? And that's low-key what happens in this scene.
Yeah.
Charlie has a headache, in a sense, and Saeed uses a pill-shaped object to fix it. This is the lost equivalent of, I have ibuprofen if you need anything.
Yeah.
It's so cool as well, just as a concept. Also, I really like that, like, he lights it and then it's like panned out shot of the jungle, Charlie screaming.
Love that bit. It's almost like if it was a bit more of a comedic moment,
there'd be like birds flying. Yeah, I was thinking that there should have been birds flying up.
But no, they did a good job of keeping that quite horrible.
It's really quite gross. It's kind of... And it's one of those moments where it's very dire, where it's suddenly like, oh, he could die, And also, like, we've had Boone die. Charlie could die,
He could. I don't think I ever really thought Charlie's life was in danger. I think
not necessarily in this moment, but I feel like it's one of those things where you're suddenly reminded, like, oh, they're just, like, on their own out there,
True. But yeah, essentially what this scene achieves is Rousseau is a girl boss. She's a man on a mission who can set a trap in like 5 minutes. Queen.
Where did she get that white cloth from?
Doesn't matter. She found a way. And there's a cool thing that you can do with injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, don't try this at home if it's like I have no idea if it would actually work. And also it seems extremely dangerous and painful, so maybe don't, full stop, do it.
Yeah, also on the face as well. Like, so close to his eye as well, like, oh.
All the blood when it was, like, pouring out was quite intense.
It's a lot. It was a lot. Mm-hmm. It was almost like the Boone in the Dream.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
When it's not coming down his face.
Yeah. So, yeah, essentially it was just a little brief interlude to do that.
Yeah, it was just kind of like a don't forget Saeed and Charlie are on the case,
Because I guess we hadn't seen them at that point in this episode.
Yeah, and it's like it comes straight after the scene with Sun and Claire in the caves. So I guess that's like because Sun says like he promised he'd get your baby back, and then it's like now we see him doing his best to get him back.
Yeah. Are we going to address tea in a coconut shell?
Iconic shit. That's what the coconut shell... It's like a tropical holiday,
Yeah, but I'd think having a cold drink in a coconut shell, not tea.
I think that often there are hot drinks, because I think it's like It's like that's...
Really?
I think so, yeah. I think it's like it's yeah, that's what I was trying to... I was just kind of doing a bowl motion with my hands, trying to indicate that, like, I'm holding it, but it's not hot, was what I was doing with that gesture. Yeah, I think they are, like, insulated. I really like the Sun. It's, like, almost a little bit awkward, because Sun is like, I made you tea, and Claire goes, oh, I'm alright. And then she just kind of sits there with it.
Because she knows that Claire's going to go...
And then Claire's like, okay, yeah, I'll take it. It's kind of like a... well, I've made it now. Like, Sun's face is almost like, well, what am I don't want this. What am I going to do with it? We talked about Aaron as a name last episode, didn't we? Because we talked about how we expected it to be something more significant. But I really liked this moment almost addressing that in a sense. But also like, you know, when Sun asks, what does it mean? Claire says, I don't know what Aaron means. And I think that sentence could be taken.
Ooh,
you know?
Okay, I see what you're doing.
I don't know what Aaron means. I don't know why, like, she wasn't planning on having a baby. She was never planning on keeping her baby. She thinks that, like, the plane crashed because she had to raise her baby, but now he's been taken from her. She doesn't know why the others want him.
She doesn't know why she has to be
the one to raise him, why any of this has happened. She doesn't know what Aaron means. Why is he so important? Why does it seem like he's so important just for him to be taken away from her?
I like that, actually.
I don't know what Aaron means.
I like that very much. We've connected our own dots.
Yeah. I've drawn my own dot to dot in the sand here. But I think, like, it's the fact that she says the name again in that sentence that means, like, then that sentence could mean something else, you know?
That's a really nice idea. And obviously they do get reunited at the end.
They do, and it's very lovely.
And that's the beginning of our kind of, like, nice, uplifting musical score to lead
our
us
little end
in
montage.
to our lovely montage, which I think we should talk about now.
Oh my god, the end montage.
The end montage. Ooh boy.
Oh, tear came to my eye, I'll be honest with you.
There were so many little details that I didn't remember or properly register. So, like, one of the big ones being Michael doing up Walt's seatbelt. Oh my god. Walt has just been kidnapped, and you're showing me him doing up his seatbelt?
And him keeping him safe.
Do you want me to explode? Do you want me to piss, scream, cry, and throw up?
It's just so many things. Art's helping Claire with her bag was really sweet. Charlie trying to get the guitar because they wouldn't let him check it.
Yeah.
And now he had the guitar, and that was so important.
Yes. And also his kind of, like, demeanour in that scene as well. He's very angry and he's just trying to shove the thing in there.
His withdrawals.
He's experiencing withdrawals.
I know. Here's also, I love his, we talked about, now you're taking the computer out. Charlie's little line when Hurley's calls the lift and then it's full and he goes and runs down the stairs and he goes, someone's on a plane to catch.
Love that little crossover. They were staying in the same hotel. How nice. Little crossover, really fun.
And, like, so many things. There's a moment, Shannon's looking for her asthma inhaler, and then Boone pulls it out, and it's like, Boone's not there to, like, keep an eye on her anymore, but also he looks so mad at her.
He does. That is quite funny.
Completely justified, by the way, that he's so pissed off at her, but also, like, that's really interesting that it's like that's the side we see of Boone in this last moment, you know?
But also a reminder that they, like, slept together, like, the day before the flight. Yeah. You know, like, everything is shit between them.
Everything is a nightmare at this moment. Like, Kate walks on next to the marshal. She's got, like, a cloth covering her hands.
Yeah, and then later on you see him
attaching her.
Oh,
and I love that as well, because it's, like, that shot instead of Kate's face, right? And she's looking forwards, and the marshal, you can't even, he's not in focus, you don't get a clear shot of his face, but you could tell he has the most shitty grin on his face. You can tell he's gloating so hard.
He's loving this.
He's loving it. There was a really nice moment, I think it was, who was it? Someone sits down, and then there was, like, a random extra along the row from them. And we were like, who's that guy?
Oh, Saeed. It was Saeed.
Saeed turned and looked, and I was like, that almost feels really important as well, because it's like, that guy's dead, maybe. Well, maybe he's in the background, but, like, that guy might be dead.
Presumably, yeah.
Saeed gets the pictures out, the pictures of Nadia.
And don't forget fucking Assam died one day
I know,
ago.
he looks horribly miserable. He looks at the guy like smiles at him, and he just kind of looks away again, and I'm like, yeah, his friend killed himself, like, yesterday.
And he's got the photos of Nadia that he has are the pictures the feds gave to him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. Let's talk about that for a second.
That's
I don't
insane.
think we ever acknowledged
they're
that
the pictures
before.
they gave to him to prove that they know where she is.
Yeah. But then he also has the picture of her from years ago, right? Because when in Solitary, when he receives the file on Nadia, it's
That's
that
the
picture.
Yeah, I
isn't it?
think
So,
he's kept that one. He like puts them all in the same.
I guess. Because he also has the envelope that she writes on.
Yeah, that she
doesn't
wrote
he? So
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's definitely one picture, the picture of her in the red jacket.
Yeah, that they
That's
took of
the
her.
feds gave to him. So yes.
So many things. The Hurley getting on the plane and then smiling at Walt.
Yes.
And Walt like genuinely really grins at him, and then he kind of looks at Michael and it like drops away again. And it's like he's kind of pretending to be so mad at Michael. Like we know this because like when he when like Michael gets up to use the phone, Walt kind of looks at him in like the last I think it was last episode. And that like they have that lovely little connection because they're friends, they're playing backgammon.
Yeah.
That
and
comic
just a little-
book
So
belongs
the
to
comic
Hurley.
book, yes, so we finally get the comic book reveal. This is mainly what I remembered from this montage. Being like, oh, I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
Of course the comic book is Hurley.
Because this whole time this whole time, genuinely the first time through, we were going, but who speaks Spanish? Who speaks Spanish? And then we're like, Hurley is literally Mexican. Never once crossed our minds that it was Hurley's.
Oh, of course Hurley speaks Spanish.
And then we're just
We're
like,
so
obviously it's
stupid.
Hurley's.
And also Hurley would be reading a comic book.
yeah,
We know
it
what
makes so much sense for it to be Hurley's.
It makes perfect sense. How did we not realise this beforehand? We were like, the island's biggest mystery.
It's Vincent, guys! So funny.
It makes so much sense for it to be Hurley's comic. All the signs were there. You know how we were like, people haven't realised the numbers are in other people's backstories. The writers are like, look, what if people haven't figured out the comic book's Hurley's?
We're gonna have to show
We're
it.
going to have to show him physically reading it in order for people to realise.
So funny. That's like our biggest idiot moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Because both of us were so, it wasn't even like one of us didn't notice and one of us was like, yeah, we were both just so like, oh my god, of course it's Hurley's. It was brilliant. There's a little, the Jack and John make like eye contact,
Love,
and there's like a smile.
Love. It's like a little awkward, polite smile.
It's like a
between the two of them. Love that. Because then you think about the extreme interaction that they've just had and are currently having, because then we fade back
We're
into
having a lock
explosion of
problem.
Hatch, and it's just like, you know, what is it Jack says, like 3 days ago most of us were strangers. Sorry, I won't do the accent.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, they were all strangers, and look at how much they've been through together. And also the only other one I was going to mention is Jin and Sun. Jin's looking at the watch,
and that like also it's like it's the little things, because it's like I always notice how much shorter everyone's hair is when we have like
no
plain
moustache
scenes.
from Michael.
No moustache from Michael. Sun's hair is short, like, and they are so, you can tell, you know, that connection has gone between them.
Absolutely.
In that shot, they don't even talk, but you know. The fact that begins as well, the montage kind of begins with John being brought onto the plane, I think is very important.
So I think that happens earlier, actually, the John's scene. Because I think that happens around about, that's after Jack and John's big conversation.
Oh, okay.
Then
okay.
it's John's flashback, and then we cut to the raft, and it's
Okay, I
Sawyer
see.
being a twat, yeah. Because I really want to talk about John's flashbacks in this
John's
episode.
flashbacks is really, really interesting.
So good.
Because it's like, it's this reminder of like, John, at this point, has gone insane, right? And then it's like, but you think about how miserable his life was before. And it's so, the frustration is so like palpable in these scenes. He's so annoyed.
And the thing that really stuck out to me is he is so, he's just treated in such a terrible way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so undignified, the way that they say, we'll just carry you on.
And that is such a real issue as well for so many wheelchair users, that like not being able to access just transport, and I mean so many things. But like I've seen so many like people, you know, people in wheelchairs getting on trains, right? They have to bring the ramp at the beginning, and I saw a video from someone once who was just saying like, well, I've just missed my stop on the train because they didn't have the ramp, so I couldn't get off.
Wow.
And now they're just going somewhere.
I mean, terrible. And you have to do so much more forward planning. Like, we see that John is there way before anyone else. You know? He's like the first one on the plane because he had to arrive so much earlier because they have to
get him
accommodations for him. And it's like, you know, people shouldn't have to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're a wheelchair user, you shouldn't have to ring the station ahead of time and be like, get the ramp out for me. Like, it should just be... It should be easier. The whole world should be easier.
And it's like, it's such a little scene, but it just demonstrates it all so well.
Yes.
It's like one of those things of like, I don't need to explain it to you. You can tell.
Absolutely.
You can see how undignified this is for him. You can see how upset he is.
Yeah. And then the bit that I love that really makes it scenes that are so important to Ariel, I have to say, is when he drops the in-flight pamphlet. Because it is inches away from his foot and he can't pick it up.
Yeah.
And you just think, my God, like, he was in such a position of powerlessness and feeling like he had no control over his life and feeling like his disability really impeded his life. Like, he hasn't been able to go on the walkabout and everything, and like, don't tell me what I can't do. It has so much weight. And it's like, you look at that and how he was not able to do something that all us able-bodied people
wouldn't even think about. It might be like now I have to get up to get that.
Yeah.
And he can't. And then the next thing we see him pick up is his shoe.
Real.
In the timeline of it,
that is so true.
He's reaching for that pamphlet, he can't pick it up. The plane crashes, he picks up his shoe and he puts it on and he gets up. I just think that's really important in reminding you where John's head is at. In this moment, and this like insistence that this has happened for a reason.
As with all of these flashbacks, we are reminded where the characters were before the show began.
And like, how much has changed.
Yeah, so a lot of these are like their personal relationships with each other and things like that. So for example, Charlie's still an addict, and you know, Boone and Shanna are bickering, and what else
Sun
have
and
we
Jin
seen?
weren't talking to each other.
Yeah, she spills the coffee on him, all of that, and he gets the visit from the scary guy and all of this. But Hurley's is interesting because he's got the numbers are just like such at the forefront of his mind, you know, like he's only just met the woman, you're talking about the numbers, he's only just met her
like a couple days ago.
Yeah, and so he's still so confused and so consumed by the numbers that he sees them everywhere and they're really ruling his life. So I think that's really interesting that that's where he was before crashing,
because it seems that his position hasn't really changed.
In a way, yes. We kind of don't see that much change in his character.
Yeah, his demeanour hasn't really changed very much. He's, at this moment in time especially, still very obsessed with the numbers. What's changed is that he's had this acknowledgement from Danielle that they are real and they are magic and they're evil. But, like, he's reciting them off, you know, under his breath, and then he sees them on the hatch. And it's like, they're still the most important thing to him. And I think that's really interesting that that's most of what we see in this episode is Hurley, like flashback-wise, is Hurley. Because it's like, the numbers are important, you know? Yeah. And he hasn't changed all that much.
I almost consider this a Hurley flashback episode.
I think it is listed as Hurley-centric on the Wikipedia.
It is shared with John, and I love John's scene, so I don't want to discredit that, because I think it's
a brilliant scene. And it is, in a sense, shared with everyone because of the montage at the end.
Yeah. But that flashback is so long, and it's like, it presents such a story that, to me, it kind of is a Hurley episode.
Yeah.
But equally, yeah, it is essentially a shared centric, like the rest of the finale ones. Have we covered everything before we go into Hatchgate? Let's have a look.
I think so. And so, yeah, so Hurley, we see his position hasn't changed all that much. I think a lot of them have come full circle, in a sense, via these flashbacks. Because we've got, like, almost like John from thinking he has this purposelessness and this, like, no power to being really, like, confident about his destiny, to then coming back to this kind of directionless, what am I doing here, when Boone died.
Okay.
Do you see what, and now he's like floundering a little bit, he's like, there must be a reason for all of this.
Yeah.
And like a couple of them have kind of come round, and Charlie We said, like, oh, he's really, like, he's much more, like, irritable, and he's, like, got his sunglasses on or whatever because he's still an addict. And right at the end of this episode...
Yes!
Claire is cleaning the blood off his face, and the camera refocuses, and he has a Mary statue in his bag. So he's taken... and we've already said, like, how significant it is that it's in the Virgin Mary statues. When we saw Charlie in confession telling the priest all about how, you know, how much he didn't like being in the band and how much he wanted to quit. And then it being that then he becomes addicted because of his brother, and now he's quit, but now he's got this incredibly religious symbol in front of him that is full. It's like, you know, it's fully like the devil is tempting him. Like, it's so religious. It's so Catholic.
Yeah. It's unbelievably Catholic.
It's
crazy when you think about it.
And that it's like he's taken one. So he's not taken any heroin.
It's intact, right?
It's not been broken. It's not the one that Saeed smashed on the floor. He could have reached down and picked up that handful of little baggies and put them in his bag, which he might have also done. But what it seems is that he didn't pick those up. He just took one of the statues and put it in his bag. So it's almost like the opportunity is there if he wants it. But it's just like, it's almost like a fail-safe. It's really interesting to me.
You have to look...
You have to look the Mother Mary in the eye. And break her.
Smash her to pieces.
To get your drugs.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's good because it leaves the opportunity... You were saying about how the show, like, leaves opportunities open for the following season. I think it's really good that it leaves the opportunity open. We don't know...
What's going to happen?
Is Charlie going to relapse, or is he taking this as like a symbol to sort of say, no, I'm absolutely not going to do that? Or
for all we know, at the first opportunity he can get, he's going to go off on his own and he's going to break that statue open and take it again. We don't know. Because also Charlie's been in such a weird headspace for the last few episodes. But like it's just that little tiny sort of seed of like what's going to happen.
Really, really interesting. And speaking of leading into the following season...
They set the fuse.
Where did they get that big spool of wire from? Can we just...
I don't know, plain.
Chekhov's spool of wire.
Chekhov's spool. Well, no, because we didn't see it before.
Oh, you're going to be the one.
Yeah, I am. Like, just... Oh my god. And so they say... And then they're setting it up.
So Hurley leaves because he's putting the other dynamite in a safe
further
place.
away so that when it blows up, it doesn't trigger the other dynamite.
They're thinking this might not work, actually.
Yeah, to keep the other ones.
Just in case.
Yeah. Then we have Jack and Kate having that really interesting conversation about Jack being the leader and how they're going to have a lock problem. And then, yeah, it's just so much about that. Also, John fully... puts the wire inside one of the sticks of dynamite. Bzzzt. I was like, you're gonna die.
Real. It is so dangerous. The whole opening the hatch mission is so dangerous. Like, no one has just taken a step back and gone, actually, hang on a second.
Well, that's what Arts did. And he died. And that didn't maybe flag something for them. It's like, it's so Hurley sees the numbers on the hatch.
So, yes, he drops his torch. I love as well that he switches from the flame torch to the handheld...
The battery.
The electronic torch. They call it a flashlight in America. We still call it a torch over here. Because we are leading up to the parallels between how the hatch was discovered in the first place. He trips and he drops the torch.
I didn't
Oh, come on, how did you not connect those dots? This is worse than the comic book.
Because I was like, he wants the torch because he's like,
That's the narrative convenient reason, but in terms of the show and the televisography, it's so that we can have the parallel of dropping
To be fair, I didn't see him actually trip because I was writing something down, so maybe that's why I didn't notice.
But yes, he stumbles, and that's how his torch beam illuminates the numbers on the side of the hatch. Oh my god. oh my god, and he's running. And he's like, stop, we can't do this. And I really like that he doesn't say the numbers are bad until quite a way in.
Until John lights the fuse.
Yeah. So John, he is being such a little bitch.
John is such a dick in this, because it's like, if someone's freaking out that much, you stop and you go, hey, why?
He can't though. He's so focused on opening the hatch. That is a bit, it's like, oh god, John, come on. Yeah. Listen to Hurley. You were just saying about how everybody loves Hurley. And we can't, like, listen to him, bro.
Like, take a second. I love, though, that when he lights at Hurley, he goes, well, why would you do that?
I know, he does acknowledge it. He's like, you why would you do that? You literally lit it after you heard me say stop.
Yeah.
The numbers are bad, and he's chasing the fuse. He's chasing it and trying to stamp on it. The numbers are bad, numbers are bad.
And that Jack has, like, get away from there. It's going to blow up. They both nearly get blown up.
And then there's a parallel there to episode fucking 1. Remember that, ladies? When the plane wing falls, and it's Hurley and Jack and Claire who fall backwards in the explosion. So Hurley, Jack is protecting Hurley again, and he's like throwing him out of the way in order to protect him from the explosion. And oh my gosh, it's just so excellent. So excellent. And then we get one of the most iconic shots in all of Lost. Jack and John peering down the now open hatch, and we pan,
and it comes down.
And we see that rickety ass ladder.
It's broken, they can't climb down it.
So it goes so deep into the ground, and it's so delicious. Oh my god, I was eating it up with a knife and fork. It's my favourite meal. Is that shot.
First of all, the fact that the lid was so heavy that it took both of them to get it off, at that point, I mean, I know at that point we've gone too far, we have to go down there, but like, are we not being like, why is this so secure?
Many people have said this.
Many people have said that to John, and he's not listened to any of them. This is true.
What? Saeed, what?
Brought you here to discourage him. Yeah. Just the fact that it goes down that far.
So far.
Because they've dug out quite a lot of this.
Maybe like, we see Rousseau stood next to it, so it's about the height of a person, isn't it?
Yeah. But how far down does it go? How underground is it?
Oh my god. So exciting. I mean, how could you not watch series 2 after that? Like, it's so...
I would be so mad that I'd have to wait.
Literally, we were talking about how we watched this in Portmeirion when we were on holiday. The same night, I think, we started season 2.
I think maybe Mum made us wait till the next day. I think she was maybe like, let's start season 2 tomorrow.
Possibly. But I'm pretty sure it was, like, literally consecutive. Because we were like, how can you wait? But it was like, so exciting.
I remember it so vividly because it was like none of the windows in the place we were staying had curtains. So it was like it gotten gradually dark over the course of the evening. The lights weren't on because no one wanted to move to turn on the lights. I was sitting perfectly still on this chair because I talked before about how every time I moved, everyone would be like, shh. And we were watching it. And the shot panned down, and then the credits started to roll, and we were all just like, oh my god. It was like the most magical place to be experiencing that.
Yeah. It was so wonderful. So it felt like, like when this was coming out, I'm sure everyone who watched it at the time felt like they were experiencing like a pop culture history.
Yeah.
And it felt like we were experiencing that as well, which was
like,
so wonderful.
It's like an event, you know? That end of that season was like, yeah, this is going to change TV history, And it only gets better from here.
Yeah.
Because what's in the hatch?
You're not ready.
It's so great.
You're not ready. Well, Velvet, we've done it.
We've only gone and bloody done it.
We've only gone and bloody done it. We're here.
We finished season 1.
Finished season 1 of Lost. And season 1 of Lost All Caps, well, no.
Well, not quite. Not yet.
Quite. Dear listener, first of all, thank you so much for sticking with us on this beautiful journey that we've been on through the first season of our favourite television show. One of the best opening seasons of television ever. I hope you agree. And I hope you've enjoyed the journey that we've gone on. But our journey is not over yet. Not only will we, of course, be talking about season 2.
Obviously, we'll be coming back for the next season.
But next week, we'll be releasing a special extra bonus episode of the podcast in which we're going to do a brief little roundup of where we are with all the unanswered questions, how we feel about the season as a whole,
thoughts, feelings, plot lines,
queries, concerns, etc., etc., etc. But then the bulk of the podcast is going to be Velvet and I are going to separately go away. We are going to rank all the episodes of this season from worst to best.
And we're gonna bring our own individual rankings, and then we're gonna discuss and debate.
Please tune in for that.
Please come back for that. And let us know as well. What's your favorite episode of this season?
Absolutely.
What's your least favorite? What's your favorite? Do you have like
We want to know. We want to hear your
ranking
thoughts.
Because we would love to know.
Mm-hmm. And tell us how you're feeling about this finale. Did you feel like you were witnessing pop culture history if you were watching it for the first time?
Anyone who watched it when it was coming out?
Oh, please
tell us how you felt. Because I wish I could have been there instead of being a baby.
Literally.
I don't even think I was born yet.
No, not born yet, I don't think.
When did this episode get released? Let's find out. 25th of May, 2005.
Oh, so Mum was quite pregnant then?
Yeah. Yeah, so 25th of May 2005 this came out, which is almost exactly 20 years ago.
Yeah, so we're recording this on the
14th of May?
14th of May.
It's going to be released, almost exactly 20 years ago, which is quite nice considering our first episode came out almost exactly 20 years after the pilot. So we just about kept up.
Just about, yeah. I mean, we're not operating on the same, budget as ABC. Okay, it takes us a little longer to get our shit together, but we appreciate you sticking through it, and I hope that this has been, for all of you lovely people, something akin to Lost, I think in an age where we don't often watch live TV and we don't often get episodes released week to week, even if stuff is on live TV, they usually go, and all of it's on BBC iPlayer,
Yeah.
I hope that, something like this coming out every week where we just talk about our favourite TV show has scratched that itch for some of you.
A little bit.
It certainly has for us. I don't know about you, but I've really enjoyed rewatching the season.
Absolutely,
on a roughly week by week basis and going through it.
I think it's really nice to be able to retake our time with it as well. Because obviously we do this because this is our favourite show, but the way that we watched it the first time round was very much and I have to know what happens next.
Of course.
Naturally. But it's really nice to really take our time and really, I feel really appreciate all the thought and the effort that goes into the story.
Completely.
Because we've really noticed so many tiny details and really unpacked so many tiny things about each episode that I think you wouldn't notice and you wouldn't think about if you were just binging it. And it's been really nice to be able to actually, discuss
also,
all of that.
It's not necessarily wrong. Obviously we understand. We binged it when we first watched it to a certain extent because it's so exciting and you just kind of want to go.
Yeah.
But that's the great thing about this show is you can go back and watch it and notice new things.
And you will always find something new.
Always.
I can confidently say there's never going to be something you're always going to go, oh my God, I never noticed that before.
Yeah. Because there's so much detail in it, and yeah, I agree. I think it's been so nice to really take our time and unpack each episode as we go.
Yeah. And so we'll see you next week.
We certainly will. Follow us on all the things. We've done this before.
You've made it this far. You've heard that spiel a million times.
Yeah, keep an eye out on my Instagram at Ariel Hebditch, because I'm going to be doing my solo stand-up show at a few more places throughout the year. If you're based in London or if you're based in Manchester, there will be dates released. Yeah, just keep an eye out. It'll be on there.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It'll be on there. And I think the perfect roundup for this episode is that I just got a message from my friend that says Lost season 4, and then the rest of the message I couldn't see, and then the next message pops up and it says Captain Mummy issues over here, and then you in all caps.
Wow, okay, so what? That's a little teaser for season 4
what
in
could
fucking
that
10
be
years
about?
time. You'll have to wait and see, people.
And so here, I think that's where I want to end this, I think.
I'm very happy to end it there.
See you next week for our recap and ranking
of season 1. Bye everybody, love you lots.